Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive in again.
Always.
All right, well, today we're diving into some Spanish wisdom, checking out some quotes and proverbs from some really well-known Spanish
Yeah,
figures.
it's amazing how much you can tell about a culture, their values and perspectives, just from these sayings they've passed down through the years.
Yeah, it's like a little crash course in cultural understanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Packed into just a few words. I love it.
Yeah.
The source for our deep dive today is this article. It's called Wisdom Through Words. Quotes from renowned Spanish figures. Seems like it's written for people learning Spanish, but I think even if you don't speak a lick of Spanish, there's a lot of wisdom to be found here.
Absolutely.
So one that really stood out to me was Al mal tiempo, buena cara, which means even when things are tough, put on a brave face.
I love that.
It speaks to that, like that resilience.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a core part of Spanish culture,
Mm.
to face adversity head on with this courage and optimism. I mean, you can really see it woven throughout their history. Like, think about the Reconquista, centuries of struggle to get rid of the Moors.
Wow, yeah.
It's a testament to their tenacity for sure.
Wow, I never even thought about it like that. So interesting how a simple proverb can be so loaded historically.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that resilience, that idea of facing challenges head on. But there's also this other side presented in the article. It's this focus on personal responsibility.
For sure, for sure. And that's summed up perfectly by the proverb, errar es humano, pero más lo es culpar de ello a otros, which means to err is human, but blaming others is even more human.
Right. It's so true, right? It's so easy to just point the finger when something goes wrong.
Right.
This proverb, though, it's like a good reminder that we've got to own our mistakes.
It is. It's about recognizing that we're all human, we're all going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It's about what we do after that, taking responsibility for those actions.
And learning from them right. Not just admitting you did something wrong, but using it as a way to grow. So we've got facing hardship with resilience. We've got taking responsibility for our actions. Where does that lead?
To action, my friend. And nobody embodies that better than who else? Picasso. The article quotes him as saying, La acción es la clave fundamental para todo éxito. Action is the foundational key to all success.
So basically he's saying it's not enough to just dream big. You got to actually get off your butt and do something to make it happen.
You got it. It's a call to action, a reminder that success needs you to take initiative, to put in the effort, get out of that comfort zone. You could be the most talented person in the world, but without action, it means nothing.
It's a message that I feel like resonates across cultures, right? It's that classic actions speak louder than words kind of thing, but yeah, with that Spanish flair.
Totally. And I think this focus on action, it goes back to those other themes we were talking about, right? Like if you're facing a challenge with resilience, well, that takes action, taking responsibility for your mistakes. That also needs you to actually do something to learn and grow from it. It's like this common thread that runs deep in Spanish wisdom, this emphasis on action.
Yeah, so we're seeing this pattern emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Resilience, personal responsibility, and then taking action.
Yeah.
It's really cool how these proverbs give us this little window into the values of a culture. But how about a topic that's a little more, universally human? Let's talk about love.
Ah, love. Well, the article definitely doesn't shy away from that one. It dives right into this complex emotion, and it gives us some really interesting, even contradictory sometimes, perspectives on it.
Yeah, and the Spanish proverbs definitely don't disappoint when it comes to love. One that really stuck with me was El amor no respeta la ley, ni obedece a rey, which means love laughs at locksmiths.
I love that one.
Such a powerful way. Like love is this unstoppable force.
Yeah, it really captures that idea that love doesn't really care about the rules we try to put on it, right? It's passionate, it's unpredictable, it doesn't always make sense, and it definitely doesn't always follow what society expects.
Totally. It reminds me of like all those classic Spanish love stories. All that fiery passion, those dramatic twists and turns.
You're right. You're right. That passionate view of love, it's everywhere in Spanish art and literature. Think about like the raw emotion you see in flamenco or the tragic story of like Carmen. It all comes back to that idea of love as this powerful, all-consuming force.
Right. It's intense. But here's the thing. Right alongside that really passionate view, the article hits us with this other proverb that's almost the opposite. It says, El amor es como Don Quijote. Cuando recobra el juicio, es que está para morir. Which means love is like Don Quixote. When it regains its judgment, it's about to die.
Yeah, a little dose of reality, right?
Right.
It injects a bit of humor, a bit of cynicism, and suggests that maybe Love's intensity, it's also its weakness.
Like it's acknowledging that the same things that make us crazy in love, the passion, the fact that it doesn't always make sense, that those are also the things that can lead to its downfall.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that tension, right, between that idealized, passionate love and then that more realistic, maybe even cynical view, it's so interesting. It reflects how complicated love really is for us humans, right? We want that passionate connection, but we also want something stable, something that makes sense.
So which one is it, right? Is Spanish love all about grand gestures and fireworks, or is it doomed as soon as you try to bring logic into it?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think it's not about finding the right answer, but more about accepting how complex it all is.
Maybe that's the real wisdom in these proverbs that seem to contradict each other. Love, it's a beautiful mess of contradictions, and that's okay.
It's about learning to find the beauty in the mess, in the ups and downs. Thinking about all this Spanish wisdom, it makes me think about who we surround ourselves with and how that shapes all these experiences with love, with resilience, even with how we take action.
That's a really interesting connection, and it actually relates perfectly to another proverb from the article Daem con quien andas y te dire quien es, which means you are the company you keep.
Right. It's such a short proverb, but it's so true. We really do become like the people we spend our time with.
We do. And it's not just some saying either. There's a ton of research in social psychology that supports this. Studies that show how much our peer groups actually influence what we do, what we believe, even how we behave.
It makes you really think about the people we let into our lives, right? Are they the kind of people who push us to be better, to grow, or are they holding us back?
And it's not just our close friends either, it's the bigger picture too, right? The communities we're part of, the books we read, the stuff we listen to, even the online spaces we hang out in. It all shapes how we see the world and ultimately how we experience it.
Yeah, it's like a good reminder to pay attention to the company we keep, both online and offline, because whether we realize it or not, it's shaping us all the time.
It really is, and that brings up a pretty big question, doesn't it? How much of who we are is because of those external factors, our upbringing, our social circles, the cultural messages we're exposed to, versus how much of it is just like our inherent nature?
It's like that classic question, right? Nature versus nurture. And we've got a Spanish proverb for this one too, de calbalo, palestia, like father, mother, like son, daughter.
It's funny how many cultures have that same saying, right? Like it's this universal truth that your family, where you come from, it shapes you in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see how families leave their mark. I mean, we get our physical traits from them, obviously,
Yeah.
but then there's that other stuff like your personality, what you value, even your sense of humor, like how much of that comes from your family.
Well, it's definitely complicated, right? You can't ignore genetics. Like we inherit these tendencies, these predispositions that can totally impact your personality and your behavior. But then there's the environment you grew up in, the family dynamics, what your culture is like, all those experiences that shape how you see the world. It's not nature or our nurture. It's like they're both playing a role, you know?
And that's what makes this whole conversation so cool. Like we're looking at these Spanish proverbs, these little bits of wisdom, and it's like they go way beyond just Spain. They're
Yeah.
tapping into these universal human experiences, these questions everyone asks, no matter where they come from.
Absolutely. Take that proverb about family, right? It gets you thinking about what you've inherited, the good and the bad, but it also makes you think about, well, what do you do with that inheritance, right? Do you just accept it all, reject it all, or is there some middle ground?
And that's where we get to make our own choices, right? We're not just robots programmed by our genes or our upbringing. We have the power to decide who we're going to be, to make our own path, to figure out what that proverb means for us.
Exactly. We can appreciate the things that have shaped us, but we can also choose to grow, to change, to create a future that might look totally different from our past. And isn't that kind of the whole point of wisdom,
Yeah.
right? Taking those little nuggets of insight and using them to navigate your own life?
I think so, yeah. This has been so fun digging into these Spanish proverbs. We've talked about resilience, the importance of action, how love can be passionate and confusing all at the same time, the power of the people around us, and that never-ending debate about nature versus nurture.
And through it all, it's amazing how these little sayings, they can be so simple, but also so profound when you really think about them.
They really are. So to everyone listening, keep exploring these ideas, check out different cultures and philosophies. You never know what you might discover. This is The Deep Dive, signing off. Until next time, stay curious and keep those conversations going.